Welcome to day 6. You're almost at the end of the first week. You're doing the deep work here. So today we look at how the ego creates identity from money and how this keeps you trapped in suffering. So find your space and settle in. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. And breathe out. Arriving fully here, breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. The ego is not bad or evil. It's simply a construct, a sense of separate self that your mind has created. And this ego loves to create identity from external things. And Eckhart Tolle teaches that the ego says 3 things. I am what I have. I am what I do. I am what others think of me. So the ego looks at your bank account and says, this is who I am. If the account is full, I am successful, I am worthy, I am valuable. And if the account is empty, I am failing, I am worthless, I am less than others. And do you see the trap? When your worth is tied to your net worth, you're never safe, you're never at peace. And the ego constantly compares. It looks at others and measures, they have more than me, I must be inferior. I have less than I had before, I must be failing. I don't have what I should have by this age, so something must be wrong with me. And this constant comparison creates endless suffering. But here's the truth. You are not what you have. You are not your bank balance. You are not your financial status. You are the consciousness that witnesses all of that. And consciousness doesn't have a bank account. It's not rich or poor, it simply is. And your true value has nothing to do with money. Your worth was established the moment you came into being. You are inherently valuable. simply because you exist. But the ego doesn't want you to know this. The ego needs external validation. It needs to prove itself. It needs to be better than, or at least as good as. So it uses money as a measuring stick, and every time you measure yourself, you suffer. And now let's look at some of the ego's money stories. See if you recognize any. If I just had more money, then I'd be happy. This is the ego saying happiness comes from outside. But you've probably noticed when you do get money, the happiness is temporary. Because true fulfillment doesn't come from external things. I need money to prove I'm successful. This is the ego trying to identify with achievement, but success is not a number in a bank account. True success is being at peace with yourself. People judge me if they know my financial situation. This is the ego caring desperately about others' opinions. But what others think of you is none of your business. It's their business. I should be doing better than this. This is the ego comparing your reality to some imaginary standard. But who decided what better means? And why do you need to meet that standard to be okay? And all of these stories create suffering. Not because of your actual financial situation, but because of the ego's relationship with money. Now here's the practice. And you can recognize these ego stories without becoming them. And when you notice the voice saying, "I'm not successful enough because I don't have enough money," you can observe, oh, that's the ego speaking. That's not the truth of who I am. And you're not trying to destroy the ego. You're simply not believing everything it says. And the ego is like a child who's learnt that worth must be earned, that value must be proven, and it doesn't know any better. But you, your true self, your consciousness, you can hold the ego with compassion while not being controlled by it. Now let's practice right now. Think about your current financial situation. Now listen to what the ego says about it. What story does it tell? Maybe this proves I'm a failure. Maybe everyone else has it together except me. Maybe I'll never be enough. And just hear it, don't judge it. This is the ego trying to make sense of reality by creating identity from circumstances. Now feel the awareness that's listening to the ego. And that awareness, that's you, the real you. And that awareness doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't compare itself to anyone. It simply observes everything with neutral presence. And from this place of awareness, you can see my bank balance is a fact, but it's not my identity. It doesn't define my worth. It doesn't determine my value. A wave is not less ocean because it's small, and you are not less consciousness because you have less money. The ego's money story is just that, a story. And you are free not to believe it. In today's practice, observe the ego's commentary about money without identifying with it. And when it says you are failing, notice that's the ego speaking. When it compares you to others, notice that's the comparing mind. And when it ties your worth to your wealth, notice that's identification with form. And each time you notice without believing, you create space. You loosen the ego's grip. And you're not your bank account. You're not your success or failure. You're not what others think of you. You are the awareness in which all of that appears. And that awareness is already whole, already valuable, already enough. And take a breath. Feel yourself as the observer, not the story. Gently open your eyes. Tomorrow, day 7, is integration. Being the abundance will weave together everything from week 1. Practice observing the ego today. You are not your story. Love and light.